Hello everyone, it's great to be back. So I want to explain my 5-part series here, The Future of YouTube. Each part will feature 20 different YouTubers, all giving their own personal take on what the future of YouTube will be. I myself will be giving my own personal take on the very last installment of this series, so without further ado, let's get right into this and hear from each and every one of these amazing creators.
So, the future of YouTube, huh? Unfortunately, my thoughts on the subject are a little bit pessimistic. YouTube seems to be making it harder to earn a living off them, especially for the smaller and newer creators. I consider myself to be one of the lucky ones. I joined in before they added their monetization requirement in the YouTube Partner Program, the YPP. You know, the whole have at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours thing, blah blah blah, ugh. And on top of that, the adpocalypse and the dreaded yellow monetization symbol of doom, yikes! And recently, they've been flagging a lot of content, claiming they are reusing content that's not your own, when in reality, 100% of that content was made from scratch. What's that about? System error? Psh. Okay, enough of the negatives. I do believe being a creator on the big ol' YouTubes is a great opportunity. I was a bit of a drifter before I found YouTube, jumping from one freelance gig to the next. But with YouTube, it has provided me with a platform and an amazing fan base. The reason I've improved so much and will keep on improving is because of the lovely, encouraging comments on my videos. They really do help, and they greatly overpower the negative trolls. For YouTube's future, I really do hope they fix the system errors and perhaps, not give the new creators such a hard time. Also hoping for a better algorithm. Fingers crossed. And maybe, even in the near future, a worthwhile competitor will rise from the shadows, forcing YouTube to up their game. Here's hoping.
YouTube is a highly influential website, and honestly it's touched many people's lives, whether they are creators or just simply casual viewers. Chances are if you're watching this video, you yourself have a deep connection with YouTube, and that being the case, you might be concerned to think about the future of this platform. I think the best way to think about YouTube's future is to first think of YouTube's past and see how it's progressed over the years. I'm gonna sound old for saying this, but when I first started watching YouTube, the only things on the site that had any notoriety whatsoever were things like Equals3, Charlie the Unicorn, Fred, and Nigahiga. The best channel was Emo Goth Hobos. Thank I deleted that. The main mentality at the time was to be lol XD edgy humor, and that's how you got any channel growth. Some real classic MySpace cringe. But the main thing of note is that YouTube was broadcast yourself. It was a way for anyone to get whatever random cringy bullshit they wanted out there on the internet. Early YouTube was a site for comedy and experimentation with video editing. It was a way for people to have fun and express themselves. As YouTube evolved, so did the audience that watches it. And while it's good that more people are now using the site, there are of course downsides. The brand of edgy humor that YouTube was known for stuck around well into 2016 and is still in some aspects around today, but not as prevalent. A lot of people would like you to believe that this is all derived from the quote-unquote adpocalypse, but in all actuality, this is just a symptom of YouTube becoming such a large platform. Whenever any form of media becomes big enough to where it's almost universally used, people will come and try to censor and restrict what is put on that platform. Now you can't even say the word on YouTube without getting demonetized. But the same issues of censoring things on YouTube exist in things like radio and TV. And because of a fast-dying industry known as news articles, YouTube is now held to the same exact standard as everyone else. However, it does seem like there might be some light at the end of a tunnel after all, because another major issue of the site was false copyright claims. Earlier this month, August 2019, YouTube changed their policy on manual copyright claims. And though this doesn't impact the Content ID system, it is still very interesting for one specific reason. Because this new policy deters people from claiming very short or unintentional uses of music. And failure to adhere to this new policy may result in the suspension of your ability to manually claim content. This new change is brought about by the recent lawsuit that YouTube has issued against Christopher Brady, a previous Minecraft YouTuber who was using false copyright claims to harass and extort other YouTubers. So what does this mean for the future of YouTube? Well, for one, this sets a precedent of YouTube finally sticking up for its creators when it comes to false copyright claims. We are at an interesting point in time for YouTube because there is a lot going on. However, it seems as though there's not enough. With a new copyright policy in place, we will see response channels be punished far less than they have in the past. However, the sanitization of YouTube is still going strong, and it seems like there are many topics on this platform that are completely blacklisted. A main thing of note is YouTube's categorization of LGBT-related content being not suitable for advertisers. But this runs deeper, as the atheist community is also apparently blacklisted from advertisements. Political commentary channels are blacklisted from advertisements. Even news channels get frequently flagged as not suitable for advertisers. So I see it as the only profitable way to be a YouTuber is to either be a cookie-cutter personality that does family-style vlogs or reactions, or to make money through third-party resources such as Teespring or Patreon. Because as it stands, YouTube wants to be as family-friendly as possible. If I were to be hopeful, YouTube would update its Content ID system and also update their terms on what's suitable for advertisers. But if you've seen my content before, you know I'm a very cynical and pessimistic person, so what I think is going to happen is we're going to be dealing with the same exact issues we've always dealt with. And going forward, the only way to survive would be to find ways to circumnavigate YouTube's very strict policies. I love this website and I've been using it since 2008, but I think everyone can admit that YouTube has a lot of flaws and needs to change them. And they need to realize that they can absolutely just ignore things like bad press and news articles because they are so massive. Unfortunately, it seems as though YouTube hasn't stopped its highly volatile and fast reactions to minor issues. Maybe my conjecture is just completely wrong and you feel really upset about what I'm saying in my segment. If that's the case, reply to my comment down below so that I can make sure not to read it. Thanks, Liam, for letting me be on your channel again. It was fun the last time, it was fun this time, and I hope you enjoyed my little rant here. That being said, my name is Undead Meowth. On to the next person.
Well, the future of YouTube, well, I mean, come on. Do we really know? I mean, frankly, already it's a bit of a dumpster fire, but I mean, dumpster fires can bloom and grow to a raging inferno, killing everyone. That's always the question though, isn't it? I mean, what do we really know what's going to happen with YouTube? I mean, it's already a mess as it is now, so God only knows what's going to happen in a couple of years down the line. You've got double standards everywhere, you've got hypocrisy left and right, favoritism, chat show hosts on the site when they don't need to be. You've got your platform. Stick with it, you asshole. When did that even start? I don't think anyone even noticed that trend beginning to happen. It was just, all of a sudden, it was just us, everyday people, making YouTube on YouTube, broadcast yourself. Now you've got fucking Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmys everywhere. They're the Jimmys that should be getting rustled, and they're not. Favoritism How I long for the days back in the glory days of the site, when it really was broadcast yourself, when they would just pick brilliant, genius content creators and slap them up on a page specifically for people to come along and discover new talent. Why is that gone? You go to the homepage now and all you get is, check out this show of Jimmy Fallon talking to fucking Michael Jordan on how he got sucked down a golf hole and met the Looney Tunes. And now you've got celebrities. You've got fucking Will Smith, Jack Black, God only knows who else. I'm not fucking interested, so I'm not even looking. But I know about fucking Jablinski Games and Will Smith, because if you don't log into YouTube and you just go onto the page when you're not signed in, just Will Smith right in your face. I like Will Smith and I love Jack Black, but they've got their own shit. They work from the ground up to be in the movies and the TV shows. That's their thing. That's where they belong. They're making their millions already. They're already up here. They're already here. But now, because they're already super mega stars, they just have to make a channel and say, hey guys, link my channel, subscribe. And they've already got fucking 3 million subscribers before they've even taken a shit that day. And why? Well, that's because we've got so many people, so many fans already flooding to the channel and subscribing straight away, thus creating this magical thing called the YouTube algorithm to awaken and be like, money. Then they take the channel and they slap it everywhere, and within 2 days they're in the space with fucking PewDiePie and fucking Markiplier and Gamgrumps, and they didn't have to do fucking nothing. Jack Black had 1 million subscribers and he hadn't even posted a video yet. That's some real fucking bullshit, if you don't mind me saying. But we're just falling down the rabbit hole now at this stage. That's where things are going to go. The future of the site. Are there going to be any creators on it anymore? Will the site be around? It's fucking $1 billion business. Of course it will be. But will it have content creators like us, the everyday kind of genuine creators trying to get off the ground? Probably not. Doesn't seem to be. As it stands, they only seem to be favouring the already megastars, the big fucking messiahs of the interwebs. You've got people that made it big on Vine, like the fucking Paul brothers. They get away with so much. Why? Because they're sitting and lying in YouTube's pocket. And that's the major issue here. Because we can't give shit to YouTube, they don't want anything to do with us. So we're not even going to be on the site, probably. In about 10 years' time? No, I doubt it. You've got companies constantly flagging videos just for the sake of flagging videos because they can get free money for doing nothing. Nobody wants to see these big names cluttering the front page because we see them every day on TV, on the big screen, everywhere. Save that space for us, the content creators. The people that actually tried to work to get off the ground. Come on! Overabundance of censorship completely destroying channels because all of a sudden YouTube decided to update their policies and be like, yeah, we're going to update the policy and then what we're going to do is we're going to let the computers take care of it. They're only experimental. I mean, the countless channels that they're going to be bombarded because it has to learn. Do I give a fuck? No. Fuck 'em! And now granted, the system is learning and it hasn't gotten as bad as it's taken the time to pick up on all this shit, but it's still a major problem. And it's still so highly exploitable. And yes, they have updated it to where now you have to physically, manually paste and pick where, you know, certain copywritten material is in a video for it to go through. But that still doesn't stop those fake troll companies coming along and just doing it anyway. Picking any random point in a video and then just putting the strike on it just because, well, it's on there, we'll just keep getting money off them. And while the effort is appreciated because they're actually trying to do something, they've taken way too long at this point, and every other further update is going to take way too long to get out here. And the major flaw with this new system is they don't blacklist these particular companies that are fake, that are trying to take over everything and take every people's monies, and they're not blacklisting them to stop them from doing it. They can put a claim on your video, YouTube will check it and be like, okay, fair enough, remove that, and you know what, they'll just do it again. the same video, just maybe the next 5 seconds, and the next 5 seconds, and the next 5 seconds. They will just keep doing that in the hopes that maybe you'll go, you know what, fuck it, let them have the video, I don't give a shit anymore, I've got a headache and my ass hurts. If you're a little guy trying to make it out there, tough shit, everything's going to be working against you. You're going to have an algorithm that is going to be vicious towards your content. You've got companies that the minute you get a bit of traction are going to immediately try to sweep kick from under. You're going to fucking Hadouken you right in the face and Shoryuken into the stratosphere, because the minute you start making any sort of waves, they come running out with their fucking sledgehammer and they just break your shit, and then they just walk away with your wallet. And because you're a smaller channel trying to get up the ladder, YouTube don't really give a shit, so you can get 3 strikes and your channel could be gone like that. You almost need to hit 500,000 subscribers straight away and hope nobody messes with you up until that point. Because if anyone decides they want to bombard your channel with fucking strikes, and you're only maybe getting up to the 1k, 2k subscribers, you've got no hope. There's no Princess Leia coming out of an R2-D2 droid being like, help me Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. Cause they don't fucking exist. They don't exist. It is science fiction. As it stands, the whole monetization thing doesn't really even affect me. I don't monetize my videos because I don't really have the traffic coming to the channel to see the worth of monetizing them. But it's for planning ahead for the future. If that's the big one, isn't it? If the channel does take off and I start making traction and I do start making it with the big boys.
Cadicarus, please. You are my inspiration. Notice me, please, man. We can make beautiful videos together.
By the time I reach that point, there's no platform to stand on. The minute you open up your channel to monetization, it's sent down the stairs. Call an ambulance. Grandma has shattered her hip. Smaller YouTubers have it tough, and that's just the way it is, and it's shit. It really is. It sucks big time. You're already struggling to get off the ground as it is. You're trying to trick the algorithm in the hopes that maybe by a flip of the coin on a blue moon on Friday the 13th that maybe the coin will land face down and the algorithm will throw your video onto the homepage or into the recommended feed, and that'll kick your channel off. But it is a lottery. You have got the most slimmest chance that could ever happen. And for that to happen, you have to just meet the algorithm's prefix perfectly. 10-minute video. It's got to have a brilliant flashy title. It's got to have a clickbaity thumbnail. Hell, I think even your channel name has got a big part to do with it. If it's short and sweet, fair enough, they'll start pushing that out. But if you've got a name like Derp Soldier 5376Y underscore halogen light bulb, you're not going to get anywhere. Really, the future of the site is looking bleak. You're going to struggle to get off the ground when you're a small YouTuber, and then the minute you get the lights and the camera and all the eyes are on you, you get bombarded with trolls or real companies being dickheads just wanting to take your fucking shit down because you used a song.
Money, want free money.
And it makes it so that YouTube doesn't seem like a viable job anymore, because it is the most unstable job you could ever take on. You could wake up one morning, one company decide,
I'm going to ruin somebody's life today.
Hit all your videos and that's it. It only takes 3. And if you've got a channel with hundreds, thousands of videos on it, 3 strikes, 3 full strikes, and that's it. Your channel is gone within a week. And all that effort you've put in to try to climb your way up, to try to build an audience, to try and actually become something that you've always dreamed of becoming, is gone in an instant. So really, all in all, to finish things up, it's looking shit. It really is. You're fucked if you're a small time. You're fucked if you're semi-medium big time. The only way to breeze through this YouTube life is to be up there in the millions. It's a long road to get there. If you really want to try to trudge through it, you can do your best, but YouTube is going to fight you every step of the way. Our only hope is that some other site, similar to VidMe, comes to the limelight but can actually sustain itself. VidMe was brilliant. If some other site can open up like that but can keep going and can afford to keep it running, then YouTube will have some real competition, and then, who knows, maybe VidMe could become the next, well, not VidMe because VidMe's dead, rip, but the next company that makes a new site that can do something similar to YouTube. If that takes off, that can survive, that can prevail, then maybe that could be the new king. Who knows? But as it is, it's looking pretty shitty. But that's all she wrote. My name is Tapchip, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Aloha!
Where is YouTube going? Downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral. I could make my entire video segment that because honestly, we all know that it's true. YouTube began alright, it was untamed and unrefined, but it started out with the right idea in mind, allow people to broadcast themselves. I'm not sure if they still use that slogan, but it was a good way to describe the site at the time. Then everything changed when the copyright nation attacked. Everything began being abused by copyright holders when they had the ability to. It was a mess. Thankfully, they kind of worked it out, but the system still isn't good. Copyright holders seem to be only getting more power and ability to take down reviews of their TV shows or movies and call it not fair use. They constantly prey on people who did nothing wrong and get away with it because YouTube wants to stay on those companies' good sides and they just can't be everywhere at once, so they just have terrible things fly right over their heads because they don't notice. Since 2013, it feels like YouTube has been trying to transform into something it never was meant to be, corporation friendly over everything else. We have tons and tons of channels for corporate news channels, TV shows, Vivos, and so on. Having them is one thing. Making them a grand majority of the most popular channels on YouTube kind of disillusions us to what YouTube's priorities are. In this current age, people who want to push boundaries or try and do something different from the public norm are ostracized or even banned from YouTube because they want to stay clean. Monkey Jones is a perfect example. He pushed boundaries with edgy humor, and the corporation side of YouTube didn't like it, so they just targeted him and took him down for no reason other than their image. Other channels like Filthy Frank or iDubbbz are kept up, and you know why? Other than raking in the views in their prime, people like Filthy Frank are what brought many of the audiences of YouTube there in the first place. Their provocative and edgy humor mixed with their personalities and production values gave something for people to want to tune into and possibly turn into. YouTube wants to ignore its roots as a site and keep people from being influenced by it to make similar content while still keeping it up. They want to have their cake and eat it too. The dream of becoming the top YouTuber through hard work and determination is a dream we all still strive for, but those who decide they don't want to be like everyone else and conform to a squeaky clean corporate standard will almost never make it past 1 million subs. YouTube controls the algorithm, and if you're a threat to them, they'll be ready to take you down, demonetize you, ghost you from searches, anything to make it harder for you to grow. YouTube Rewind is another good example of what's happened to YouTube. In the beginning, it was a celebration of the achievements of all our favorite YouTubers in a magnum opus production. After 2013, it became about promoting only the biggest channels for more than a hot millisecond, only showing the best people for the brand. That's all that matters now. YouTube Rewind is meant to be shown to advertisers to prove that they're a fun website for the entire family when it isn't. They've made a YouTube Kids app, and for years, parents have raved at what's been able to get through. That's partially the fault of the parent for not monitoring their children, but YouTube isn't a place for little children to watch carefree. It's meant for anyone over the age of 13 or otherwise controlled by an adult. My prediction is that YouTube will continue going down this road and make it harder for certain content creators to get, well, anywhere. Honestly, I'm scared for the future of YouTube, and I think you all should be too. Alright, that's my part. Check me out on my channel, Just Stop, and I'll see you all later, I guess. Bye.
At the beginning of the month, I received an email. This email was written by a channel called LD Productions, and in it, he asked one simple question. What is the future of YouTube? Now, surprisingly enough, this is a question that I have thought about, but I've never considered making a video on. It's also a question that I think is very important to ask specifically smaller creators. I mean, yes, you can go to VidCon and you can go onto a panel and you can ask an established creator this question, but their answer will be significantly different. Because once you're established, your idea of YouTube begins to shift. You see it as a job and a career. YouTube, in essence, is your employer. You tend to see it as the very thing that has given you success. And even when channels are critical of YouTube, which many of them certainly are, it's hard to lose that inherent bias towards the platform that made you famous. But of course, the question asked was, what does the future hold? I'm Power Online, and this is what I think of the future of YouTube. While I'd love to talk about this for hours, the fact is that I am limited to 10 minutes. This is a collaborative effort, after all, not my own video where I can spend the first 5 minutes giving context.
Yeah, so that means shut the fuck up and get to the point.
Thank you, Erichan. Now, I do love YouTube, that is no secret, but the thing I love about YouTube isn't YouTube itself, but rather what it represents. A place where millions can let their creativity run free in the form of video, and even potentially make a career out of it. The thing is, as contradictory as it may sound, I hate the current YouTube. Because at this moment, YouTube is going completely opposite of those ideas. There's obvious examples of this. Celebrity YouTube channels making it to trending with just about every upload, the complete takeover by late night shows, and the fact that I recognize more celebrities in YouTube Rewind than I do YouTubers. Despite YouTube Rewind supposedly being a celebration for the creators that made YouTube into what it is. But those are all things that everyone and their grandmother has talked about. Instead, I'd like to focus on specifically the YouTube channels that YouTube promotes. Now, obviously, I can't talk about every single channel, so I'd really like to take a focus on the comedy channels. Now, in my opinion, comedy channels that focus more on edgy content always seem to be the most creative, mainly because they have to. There's only so many ways to say fuck and throw up on camera while still being entertaining. And it's clear that there is an audience for these channels. It wasn't that long ago when one of the most well-known creators was Filthy Frank. And others followed in those similar footsteps and got a major audience from it. H3H3 was known for his absurdity, as was Max Mofo, maybe in a different way. And Rusty Cage was responsible for one of the most dangerous trends on the internet. But at the end of the day, I would take these channels over what we have now in a heartbeat. Even commentary channels seem to have toned down their bite. Most of them elect to just report on drama while giving a simple opinion, and many of them have left the genre completely, becoming things like Reddit channels. It's a far cry from the leafy and pyrocynical of old, where it may have been mean-spirited, but at least it was creative. Mostly. Look, I'm not defending Leafy. I absolutely hate Leafy, and I think his absence is definitely a positive. But at the end of the day, he was an original personality, and he did give some original, real jokes and opinions. It's not a bad thing to take a look at weird things online and make fun of the weirdness of them. While calling someone retarded isn't exactly the best punchline, the best comedy is the ones that tote the line. And I think most people wouldn't disagree that it's far better than the relatable comedy that seems to be everywhere. I thoroughly believe that there are a lot of people that deep down will admit that Leafy's comedy is far better than someone like Lele Pons. And this isn't just a fact on YouTube, you can see this even outside the platform. It's certainly not a controversial statement to say that Bill Burr is a far more talented comedian than Amy Schumer. Bill Burr is a comedian that takes the problems of the world and makes them funny. And frankly, I think that is needed. Yes, it's important to take these problems seriously, but taking them seriously all of the time is just not healthy for one's mental health. Sometimes you need to hear a joke about something awful in order to come to terms with it. South Park understood this, and after the horrific events of 9/11, they came out with an episode that I consider to be the greatest example of comedy in all of media. They made an episode of South Park where the children of South Park killed Osama bin Laden. And the way they characterized this god-awful, terrible human being was a joke. Essentially a Looney Tunes-esque cartoon villain. America needed this episode because when everything seemed bleak, this joke of a representation made everyone laugh again. It helped people come to terms with the terrors that happened. And in a weird way, it might have saved lives. How many people were crippled with anxiety after 9/11, thinking that the world was going to end? I would argue a lot. And suddenly, only after a few days, the same people saw an episode about the very subject they were terrified of and were able to laugh at it. It showed them that things will be okay. You can still laugh and feel joy despite the atrocities that happened. That is the true power of comedy. I can't help but think that if an episode like that dropped in today's times, there would be plenty of articles talking about, yeah, Osama bin Laden's bad, but they shouldn't have characterized Middle Eastern people in that way because it's offensive. Articles like this seem to lack the critical understanding that in order to understand the world, you need to understand the absurdities of it. At least that is what I believe. So what does this all have to do with the future of YouTube? Well, it seems that YouTube has become terrified of this type of edgy comedy. Much like those articles that don't see the benefits, they only see the complaints of the loud minority. And frankly, so do the companies that fund YouTube. Because of this, YouTube wants to go the way of most mainstream media. The safe jokes, the relatable jokes, this is what YouTube loves. And I personally think that they're missing the bigger picture. YouTube does have a choice. They can become like ABC or NBC, or they can become like Comedy Central and Adult Swim. The latter half are companies that allow their creators to, well, create. The fact is, YouTube does not see the benefit in edgy creativity, or really just creativity in general. They shoot for money, and this is because they have a managing board of not creative types, but business suits. They want money, as much money as possible. Their first goal is not to become what YouTube is capable of, a place where people can understand culture in a new way. They want a Lele Pons where they can access the widest possible audience, not a Filthy Frank where the structure of society can be questioned, a place where terrible things can be seen in a new light. I know this sounds very r/I'm 14 and this is deep-esque, but I find it to be true. I'm a bit mentally unstable, to be honest, and while I try to stay educated on what's going on, the many terrible things that happen can cause a lot of anxiety for someone like me. That's why I try to laugh at them and try to find comedians that will make jokes about these things. Because if I didn't have that, I would be a mess of a person. This type of comedy is vital. YouTube is currently at a crossroads. Half of their audience wants safe comedy where they can turn their brain off, and the other half wants edgy shit where they can laugh at culture in general. I personally think that both of these are important, but YouTube seems to want to silence the latter half, mainly for the purpose of financial gain. But the thing is, a good subject for jokes is a corporation that only wants money. So the more YouTube tries to bring them down, the louder they become, and the more their jokes are validated. 2016 YouTube brought the peak of not just this edgy style of comedy, but content creation in general. However, it all came to a crashing halt after the adpocalypse. In the following years, safe content became king once again. But I foresee another edgy renaissance on the horizon. Creators are getting more risky once again with what they're producing, and YouTube is losing the ability to silence them, mainly because of the fact that the only weapon they have against them is demonetization. But with things like Patreon, Twitch, and Ko-Fi that allow direct donations, YouTubers don't exactly need the ads that YouTube provides. They are helpful for sure, but they are no longer necessary. At the end of the day, I see a positive future for YouTube, but not because of YouTube themselves, but because of the creators on it. After all, it is the creators that built this site, and it will be the creators that shape it. Of course, that is my opinion, and if you do disagree, or you want to add to it, make sure you leave that in the comments down below. Now, honestly, I'm not sure how to wrap this up, because this is a collab and not one of my normal videos, so I guess I'll just stick to the usual, unless I'm told otherwise. Anyway, I'm Power Online. If you did like me for some reason, you can jump over to my channel, and you can subscribe and join that notification squad if you do in fact like what you see. But, as for the time being, I'm signing out. See ya!
Hi, I'm ZaNamations. I think the future of YouTube is probably gonna mostly revolve around comedy and more up-to-date things. I've noticed an increase in memes and just general millennial memes, just that kind of culture, and probably a lot of commentary animation type things. I've noticed an increase in that as well. I feel like a lot of channels are probably gonna start going off on their own and not sticking to just one topic, but sticking to multiple areas of content in their channel. Me, for example, I don't want to just stick to one thing. I want to stick to a lot of things to give my channel variety, and I've talked to a lot of younger creators who are going to be the future of YouTube, and they agreed with me. They want to be more variety based, and they don't want to stick to one thing. They want to be more, I don't know, widespread with what they can create. And yeah, I think they're starting to realize what kind of power they have with their ability to create stuff and put it out on the internet for everyone to see, which in my opinion is a pretty good thing, judging by the fact that a lot of people just stick to one thing, and obviously you subscribe to a channel for a certain type of content, but being able to see that a person can create more than one type of thing goes to show just how much talent the newer generations are bringing to the platform itself. Alright, this was really short. That's all I have to say for now. Nothing really too detailed. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Hello. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm MD Who of MD Who Entertainment, but most people just call me MD. I am a horror creator. I write and narrate my own scary stories, as well as other people's stories sometimes. I am also quite involved in the horror community. I have made a lot of connections and quite a few friends within the community. As such, that means I am also aware of how they stand with YouTube, as well as myself. Now, I haven't been monetized for about 2 or 3 years, which was about the time I started to change my channel towards horror. Coincidence? Perhaps. But then again, perhaps not. You see, many of my fellow horror creators also struggle with demonetization and copyright strikes despite creating their own content and being careful to stay within the terms and policies, or what we think them to be. The terms and policies were very obviously written by a lawyer in the sense of the language being very confusing and difficult to understand. I know they may simply be trying to look professional, but what is a professional look if they aren't communicating effectively? And many times, YouTube help has not been very helpful, because any answers given are also confusing and sometimes very vague. And yet, creators from other genres keep their monetized status. Creators who pump out rubbish simply for the sake of having a video so they can have a video out every week or every month. From what I understand, if you aren't consistently putting out videos, you're not eligible to be monetized. That's not to say that all creators who have a passion in another genre create mindless content, but that's a problem for us who have made horror our passion. In order for it to be decent content, it often takes longer to have it done right. So many of us simply cannot upload videos on a regular basis. Besides that, we also have day jobs to pay the bills because we aren't getting paid for our passion, which puts even more of a damper on our time. In other words, we're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't. The other problem is YouTube prioritizes content that they deem to be advertiser-friendly, meaning content that advertisers can sponsor so YouTube can bank on it. That leaves a lot of horror creators in the dirt. Never mind that some of the highest-grossing films in Hollywood have been scary movies. But that doesn't seem to matter to YouTube corporate. They appear to care more about money and less about the content creators that make the website. It has become less of YouTube and more of TheyTube. So to answer your question, Liam, I don't know what the future of YouTube is, because I don't know what its present is. Taking all of this into consideration, I don't think many people will stay if they don't have to. YouTube has put a big enough damper on their standing with many creators that if a competitor showed up overnight, they would likely move there from YouTube. Many people are already moving to other platforms. That being said, I can only speculate that many problems could be solved if they actually took the time to listen to the creators and tried to make themselves better understood, or at least that would be the first step. But what do I know? I'm just one person.
So I honestly think the future of YouTube is pretty stable, but they gotta take it easy with the demonetizing and filters, man. I mean, they should let the creators be full on them, including swearing, and maybe have options to censor the bad words or something. Oh, fuck! Thing is, they should care more about their creators. Then their creators are happy, and happy creators equal more motivation, and yay, happy energy and stuff. Personally, I think that if they don't find a way to fix that soon, it might make the creators leave or even cause YouTube to lose its way. Truth be told, I don't see myself going far, but doing YouTube videos is something almost therapeutical, and I really love doing it. So if the future of YouTube ends up with a lot of restrictions, they're probably gonna end up like MySpace. It still exists, but nobody even knows it. If not, then it will continue to be a huge staple in someone. That was really bad.
The future of YouTube, huh? Let's see. Where do I begin with this? I guess just straight to the point. Not good if I'm gonna be completely honest. Let me just elaborate real quick. You see, YouTube nowadays seems to be a lot more like a gamble than an actual fun activity to start up on. Like, whenever there's a new channel that pops up, it almost seems like everything is stacked up against them in terms of getting even the smallest amount of views. Or subscribers, for that matter. Okay, for anyone out there that doesn't know what I'm getting at, here's a scenario that a lot of you may relate to. So one day you get the idea to start up on a YouTube channel. You work hard, record, animate it, whatever it is that you like to do. You're extremely passionate about it, and then you muster up the courage to finally upload that first video. And then you wait. After a day or two, you look back on your channel and you got no subscribers. Look back on your first video, you get no views. Like maybe a week passes, or a month passes, and still, you get nothing. Bruh. And then it gets to the point where you need to go out to all these social media platforms just to promote your channel and video. And even then, it's not guaranteed. Now, I'm not saying no one should be doing this because it's how a lot of people hopefully get a boost to their numbers. But it would make the experience a bit better and give creators more time to actually make videos if YouTube just helped promote smaller channels for a bit. A perfect example of this dilemma would have to be the algorithm itself. Yeah, I know, content creators' public enemy number one on YouTube. Oftentimes, the algorithm more advertises already established channels rather than try to be balanced and try to cater to both veteran and new coming channels. If that balance isn't found, then this may end up causing people to get discouraged on starting up a YouTube channel, or if they did start, just stop altogether, leaving not only the YouTube community, but YouTube as a whole completely barren. A lot of times this is because of YouTube's changing policies that get people discouraged, and it also affects the well-established channels as well. Like the constant changes and the potential threats of having their videos demonetized or even worse, taken down because of YouTube's bots. It would definitely be frustrating for a lot of people, even to those who want to make YouTube a full-time job. Like, okay, if anyone out there watching this happens to be one of these people, let's see if you can relate to this. How many times have you had to be careful about making your videos, or even just titling the video because of YouTube's policies? Isn't it frustrating enough just to work on the videos, let alone having to be constantly told that you can't do this or you can't do that? Definitely frustrating for a lot of people. Anyways, the bottom line is that if YouTube wants to keep itself going strong, it should do everything that it can and find the necessary balance to showcase new channels and established channels, so that the new channels can grow while the established channels learn from the new channels. And who knows, if the developers of YouTube end up watching this and actually take my advice, it could have a bright future.
Lio Convoy here. I was asked to give my thoughts on what I think the future of YouTube is. And hate to tell you guys, but I'm not exactly going to be the most positive guy here. I think YouTube is slowly, or quickly, depending on your point of view, being taken over by corporations. The owners of YouTube are very much so playing towards them. They're looking for any reason to demonetize anybody. Even channels like mine that focus on retro cartoons and figures, they're going to soon swallow up by removing comments, likes, and all these other things because they will consider it children's content because they can't cater their own website. So what do I think the future of YouTube is? I think it's going to simply become a corporate platform, and sooner or later there's going to have to be some other sort of competition that's going to wind up breaking them down, and we'll have to go somewhere else. I know this isn't the most positive take, but it's an honest one. Take it easy.
The future of YouTube, that's quite a broad question, but if I had to give my own 2 cents, I'd probably say the future of YouTube, I think YouTube, the actual company itself, will probably continue to, I say innovate, but well, they haven't really been doing much good recently. I think they'll make a couple more shite changes, although I hope for the best. I think YouTube Rewind this year will be a massive redemption. However, I'll gladly be proven wrong. It'll continue running as it is currently, with maybe give or take 1-2 things which are going to change. What that is, I don't really know, although I hope YouTube itself changes to be better than it was last year, because 2019 YouTube has been shit. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Faeles. When I'm not responding to other videos, articles, or reviewing games, I'm probably making videos about game design, and that's what I'd like to take this opportunity to show you a sample of. Let's take a look at video game literacy. It's been a bit of a topic at the moment, but what does it actually mean? Well, when we think of normal literacy, we think of basic literacy. The sense being able to read, being able to write, being able to, read. Like that's what literacy is. Advanced literacy, on the other hand, is being able to infer meaning from stories, or if you read The Car Was Blue, you'd know that the car was blue. That's the basics of advanced literacy, if that makes sense. Now onto video games. Video games aren't at a point where the vast majority of people are literate in basic game design. So when you see this, you know what this means. You know that this is a health bar. You can infer that from the heart, or from the colour red, or from the numbers. We know that this is a health bar. We also know what these buttons mean, because, we're used to seeing them on a controller. But if you'd never played a video game before, or never held a controller, you wouldn't know what any of this means. So trying to reach that stage is what a lot of AAA games try and do, whether it be through tutorials or slowly easing people into gameplay. The average big budget game is targeted towards someone who doesn't really play video games that much, because that's what the majority of the market. Casual gamers who maybe play Candy Crush on their phone, maybe played Mario as a kid. That's the reality of the situation. So for the next few years, I think it's interesting to see how tutorials will either go away entirely or become optional, because in 10, 15, 20 years, the target player base, like the average person, would have grown up around video games. So yeah, hope you liked that little segment. Hopefully, you'll see me in another video over on my channel. www.youtube/ That's not right. This is the link to my channel. See you there.
Hello everyone, my name is Min and I'm a dead DM, and I would quickly like to introduce that I am a professional freelance animator. I do YouTube mainly as a hobby, and I like to create animated, educational content and things that hopefully empower the people watching me, whether it's animated, live streams, whatever. I make whatever I feel like making. However, I have worked for a company that has consulted with many bigger channels, and I currently do consultations for Storytime animated channels and anyone that needs some help with the algorithm part of YouTube. So at its core, what can we expect from YouTube in the future? If you are unaware, there are pretty much 3 aspects of the algorithm that make it really hard to grow on YouTube across most communities. And I'll try and keep this as short as possible. The first one is the copyright claim system. YouTube offers a lot of options for companies to claim music and videos or content. However, they don't offer a good way for indie creators to keep rights to their hard work and use things under proper fair use terms. This makes it easy for companies to snipe revenue from people who make educational videos that are supposed to be fair use. I've seen this issue in my own videos as well as in the Names Junkies videos. The best example is his Ranters Gone But Not Forgotten on Pentagon. Junkie wanted to compare the situation to a situation from BoJack Horseman. I don't think the original version of the video made it far past Patreon, but it was about a 40-second clip from BoJack Horseman. And YouTube was like, oh no, no revenue for you. Now, in my opinion, The final version of this video was amazing because several artists and voice actors got together to replace the BoJack Horseman clip. I believe that this made the video stronger. It was a lot more artistically led. However, I don't believe Junkie should have had to do that to get any revenue from his video. YouTube is very bad about if you use a 40-second clip or an 11-second soundbite, copyright claiming it, and then you lose rights to the entire video, whether it's just those seconds or 4 hours long. It doesn't matter to YouTube, they will claim it all. This honestly is more of an issue for YouTubers who do YouTube as their job. If you look at the animation meme community, even the bigger channels, a lot of them aren't monetized and make their money off of Patreon and other ways. Their format is what draws people in, so they don't have to worry quite as hard about this issue. However, the next section is watch time. I've already made a video about how this works for storytime animation. It's hard to make 10 minutes of creative content. It's hard for animators to keep up with watch time, and we can see this just by looking at my own analytics. I mean, they're humble analytics, but the math for them works pretty well. The views for animation memes tend to do the best. Currently, my OtterPop meme is my most viewed video. It runs about 2 minutes long and has about 1,100 views on it. But that only really translates to 900 minutes of watch time, give or take a little. Now, this happens because once it gets to the end card, people stop watching. And honestly, that's fine. But when you compare those views and watch times to other videos of mine that have done very well, you see where the problem starts to come in. I would like to make an example of my Jackbox streams analytics and my Art of Critique videos analytics. My Jackbox streams tend to get about 70 views. However, those streams are very long and easily break 1,000, 2,000 minutes of watch time in just one sitting. And my Art of Critique video has almost 400 views and has almost hit 2,000 minutes of watch time. These videos are longer, so less people have to watch them to get watch time, so they tend to do better in the algorithm. Animation memes are only competitive because there is a community of demand behind them. If you're making short animated skits, you lose the relevance of the meme views. People are looking for those specific animated memes. It's a lot easier to get views on those shorter videos because people are searching for it. And it's similar to other people's stuff, so it gets recommended easier. The problem comes in is when you're making short animated skits or even short films. You lose the relevance that memes have, and it doesn't have the length of other content, so it quickly gets pushed aside. Honestly, this can also be true of live action skits, where vloggers and consistency tends to win out over film projects. The last point relates back to my introduction. I believe the gaming community was one of the first groups to take note of the algorithm's tendencies when it comes to mature content and making diverse content. A really good video to watch for this is Game Theory's YouTube is Ruining Gaming. Regardless of how you feel about game theory, when MatPat talks about YouTube, he knows what he's talking about and he backs it up with numbers. He maps out at the time of making the video how doing lots of different kinds of games got you less views, and there wasn't much of a reason to risk doing lots of different games with mature content because you could play Minecraft, Fortnite, or Roblox, which is kid-friendly. It doesn't get demonetized by YouTube, so it gets more views, it gets more revenue, and it doesn't have that much of an issue. This does translate to other communities. Consulting with a couple of storytime animators and freelancing for the company Project DLC, I learned very quickly that if you want a safe way to grow your channel, you pick a lane and stay in it, and keep it family friendly. I'm not willing to do that, so I predict I will never grow beyond a certain point, and I accept that. And I hope smaller channels that also are aware of this choose to accept that if they want to love what they do and not become number obsessed. So, what's the future of YouTube? Honestly, I don't think anything is going to change. YouTube has no concern over the creators who make their platform work, and a lot of people think that's going to lead to a complete collapse of the platform. And it could in 10 to 30 years. But have you ever thought of the demand for putting things on YouTube? If you make content, have you ever wondered where you would post videos for your friends and your viewers if YouTube vanished? There isn't a site like YouTube with the reach that YouTube has. It's not fair. In their eyes, it's a fair deal. In theory, they own the platform, They let you build cool stuff on it for free, and sometimes both sides of the party profit. That's not the popular way to look at what YouTube is. But it's another side of the situation that not many people talk about or consider. This is why they don't care. This is why they aren't afraid of breaking 5 things just to fix one. And it's why it will consistently be here. And even if all the big creators leave, there will always be content made for YouTube. Thank you for reaching out to me, Liam. I hope I offered a unique and hopefully helpful perspective on this. I'll let the viewers decide whether it's a grim perspective or a hopeful perspective, because I would say that it's a little bit of both. It's more of the same. And thank you, everyone, for listening to me. All right, have a good day.
Every day YouTube is a different story. On one hand, it's great, but on the other hand, it's kind of bad when there's like a lot of tea. People, as well as corporations, are slowly realizing that YouTube is a new version of television. In the future, we might have some more creators like Lily Singh or Shane Dawson, both who started with skits and are now producing television or television-like shows. It takes black magic to identify what will actually happen in the future, or $3.99 on the App Store. There are 3 key points for the future. What we want to happen, what will actually happen, and what did happen. What I actually want to happen is more creators that bring comedy to the table. And maybe some chocolate chip cookies. I can't say chocolate normally, shut up. Let's be realistic. When Vine died, all the irrelevant Viners came to YouTube. When Musical.ly died, musicians came to YouTube. If TikTok dies, what will happen? Every TikToker will come to YouTube, so we might see some new faces in the YouTube community. What did happen? Disappointments and depression. Just me? Got it. What did happen? We had some amazing creators that flopped later in their careers, like Abby Show, Thomas Sanders, and that's it. Because Cameron Dallas and Jacob Sartorius, we YouTubers don't talk about those last 2. Personally, I think that yes, there are going to be some YouTubers. Yeah, most of them might be cringy, but we will learn from them. And not constantly, be shook over them. And yeah, most of you creators who have been in this shit show of a platform from the Apocalypse to Dramageddon, we might not really care about the new ones, but we won't stop them from chasing their dreams. We'll show them what to do and what not to do, i.e. not turn into a Paul brother or date Trish. So yeah, if you're a new creator, my favorite cookies are macaroons, so send me my gift basket.
What do I think of YouTube's future? Well, at the time of this video, I'm still but a mere baby channel, so I haven't really been too concerned about it, but I've been reading on Twitter from larger YouTubers about some of the stuff YouTube has done for the past several months, if not longer. Based on that, I can really assume that unless a lot of the issues are addressed, I honestly don't see anything getting better. Things don't look too great. I've also noticed that a lot of the things that they've been doing have been making it harder and harder for more smaller channels to get noticed. But who knows? Maybe things could change. Maybe they won't. Well, the only stance I can really take is just wait and see what happens. Or maybe a actual alternative will come and we all just flock to that.
YouTube is not just a website anymore. It is a community space everyone is a part of. I believe the future of YouTube could be very, very bright, but it is our duty to make sure it is so. My generation of YouTubers is a generation that grew up watching YouTube develop from the start, watching people share their views, invent themselves, and create communities that people felt a part of. We are a generation inspired by those who came before us, hoping to take on the challenge ourselves, to build our own communities and realize who we are. We were inspired, and we want to inspire others. YouTube, in its entirety, inspires people to create and share their own stories. This is a power that shouldn't be misused. The future of YouTube is based off the next generation, and then the generation after that, and then the generation after that. The power to influence is just emerging in this generation's hands, and we are still learning how to use it wisely. People may say that YouTube is going to come to its fall, or that people who are and want to be YouTubers are only doing it for the fame and spotlight. The people who misuse their influence for personal gain and self-made glory. But I disagree. I think those people are not the future of YouTube, but merely a side effect of the influence YouTube has had. My own journey with YouTube so far has allowed me to better see myself in a new light. I came into YouTube with the wrong intentions, wanting to be something for fame and for the likes. But as I continued on, I realized that's not what YouTube is about. Through YouTube, I was able to meet so many amazing people. People that inspired me and helped me, and who I'm happy to say are my friends. It is people like that that make me believe the future of YouTube is bright. Because we, together, are the future of YouTube.
What do I think the future of YouTube will be? Well, drama and controversy are two big bubbles that will always be there, yet there's a shred of people who are always upcoming with new ideas and artistic vision. YouTube themselves as of recent are actually fixing some of the biggest issues, so maybe similar to how it is now, but perhaps with more people getting along. Over time, we're having less people argue and more not becoming creators. It's how a market works after all. Things grow and inspirations are a platform's core. I see the future of YouTube as a little bit more of a utopia than it is now. People creating more entertaining content with a forever and always improving technology and possibilities. I wouldn't let a few bad things overshadow that in the slightest.
YouTube as a platform is ever-changing, especially due to how influential it is in so many aspects of our everyday life, including businesses, marketing, education, entertainment, personal use, and so much more. Now, in order to answer the question of where YouTube's heading in the future, I think it would be beneficial to compare YouTube's past to YouTube's present. Going back maybe 5-10 years, I'd say that YouTube was more about the content than the content creators like it is today. Videos such as, I don't know, first thing that comes to my mind, Charlie Bit My Finger, for example, got really popular on YouTube really quickly and went sort of viral thanks to the actual video rather than who was making the video, where I feel YouTube nowadays is more about the content creators than the actual content they're producing. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's just the people, not their content. Of course, the content comes into play. However, when someone's subscribing to someone's YouTube channel nowadays, or when they're deciding to be a fan of theirs, they're subscribing, I feel, more to the person than to their content. For example, YouTubers can make videos very different from their normal content and still get a decent audience on those videos because it is them making the videos, and people are more subscribing to the person than to their actual content, I feel. Now, this isn't the case for everyone, but I feel like for a lot of people, this is how it is. What does this mean for the future? In the future, I feel like big YouTubers are gonna start becoming celebrities, and not just YouTubers, but more widely known faces to people who may not be as proactive on the internet. You could already start to see this with companies getting endorsements from YouTubers or putting YouTubers' names or faces on products. However, in the future, I feel like the really big YouTubers are going to start becoming just as popular as anyone else who's a celebrity, whether that be a musician, an artist, or whatever it is. Which makes sense, since on YouTube we have such a wide variety of different types of people that produce such different types of content. We have so many different communities, and people can find pretty much anything on YouTube. They can find anything from educational videos on how to make a car, I'm sure they're out there, to videos that are just funny videos like animation, political videos, or just anything in general. YouTube is becoming more of a tool than something that people just go on to kill time like any other social media. Technically, YouTube is a social platform or social media, but when I think of it more than just a social media like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, but I think of it more as a source of entertainment, something more similar to Netflix or Hulu or any of those streaming services than I'd say is similar to Instagram or Twitter, even though you still are interacting with people in the same way. In the future, I feel that YouTubers are going to start becoming celebrities, and that smaller YouTubers are going to start becoming more successful. Oftentimes in schools, children will get asked what they want to be when they grow up, and for little kids, a lot of children will say things like firefighter, doctor, policeman, teacher, or just jobs that they know exist. But in the future, I think that children are going to start aspiring to be YouTubers, not only as a hobby, but as their full-time career. Like with the previous prediction, you could already start to see this spread. However, in the future, I feel like it won't be as belittled and maybe even an admirable job to have. Of course, it is unlikely that every little kid who wants to be a YouTuber will become a YouTuber. However, I feel like it will be something similar to a little kid saying that they want to become a pop star or an NFL player, where it will be more of an admirable job than you're technically unemployed by law, but you still make a living. As for the animation community, I think we're heading in a totally different direction than we've been in the past. Animation on YouTube has a long history to it that I'm not going to get into because I'm not a professional, I'm just a 14-year-old expressing my opinion. A lot of animation that is very popular today, or at least stuff that I see in the animation community itself, would be skits and story times and videos having to do with memes or animation memes. But in the future, I feel like people are going to start kind of skewing away from that and going towards more unique sorts of animations, such as original series or videos more similar to short films than how they are today. Is this a bad thing? No. Does it mean the death of the storytime community? Probably not, because people will make storytimes as long as people still want to watch storytimes. And with them being as popular as they are today, I don't think that they're going away anytime soon. However, I think that they will start becoming less frequent with channels that currently make them, and I think that new channels that will make them in the future will start popping up, and the community, I think, will really evolve as a whole. There have been a lot of changes to YouTube in the past couple years with new guidelines and new rules that make it a little bit more difficult for creators to maintain career on YouTube. In the future, YouTube is going to start fixing that because even though YouTube is a tool, an entertainment service, a company, a platform, it really, at the end of the day, is just a way for people to express themselves. And I think in the future, it's going to go more towards that and start becoming a more influential thing than it already is today.
Hi there, my name is Gothic Rose, and I am a horror narrator here on YouTube. The future of YouTube is an important thing. Fans and creators all have different visions and expectations of what we hope and what we want it to be. One thing I believe we can all agree on is that we want YouTube to be great. These days, fellow YouTubers are not feeling important to the platform. It's discouraging and frustrating and can really mess with a creator's creativity. Why work hard if we feel YouTube doesn't seem to appreciate us? As long as we don't give up and keep fighting and keep working hard, as well as showing the world what amazing creators we are, I believe YouTube will be for us once again. I know it may not feel like it now, but I believe YouTube in the future will be back to where it once was. A place for creators to be themselves, to be open, and let their creativity shine, like we were always meant to do. A place where creators and viewers can feel like they're at home.
Howdy doody there, everybody. I'm Nuzzy Monster. Liam invited me to come on and share my thoughts on the future of YouTube. I'll try to be as positive as I can, but unfortunately, no promises. I'm not really known for being an optimist. It's no secret that YouTube is kind of a dumpster fire right now. The copyright system is in shambles, the bots are pretty much useless, and it's almost impossible to get an answer out of YouTube unless you've got a gold plaque hanging on your wall. I hope things can change soon because I love YouTube. I'm a fan of so many different creators and I don't want to see them leave the platform because YouTube refuses to support them because of bullshit reasons. I can only hope that something changes next year. YouTube needs to become more consistent with the rules they've made, be less vague, fix the copyright system so that the person who reports isn't judge, jury, and executioner, and stand by creators rather than by corporations. Honestly, I don't think YouTube will listen. Like I said, I'm not an optimist. But a part of me does believe it's possible. We, as users, gotta get our shit together too. Cancel culture is getting ridiculous. Stop trying to dig up people's pasts and vilify them. Stop with the allegations. YouTube isn't the police. And stop being so damn petty. There are people on the platform who are doing things that are actually wrong and illegal and dangerous, and we're ignoring them for some 6-year-old tea. Sorry if my segment seems a tad short. I honestly don't know what else to say. To me, the answer to fixing YouTube seems so simple, but at the same time I understand how complicated it has to be. There are so many people on the site now, and it's only just gonna get more and more crazy as the years go by. It's honestly insane how far YouTube has gone, and I want to see it succeed. But with the way it is now, I don't know anymore. It's great to see YouTubers make movies and be on TV and stuff like that, but at the same time, I think that sometimes people forget their roots and it gets to their heads. I just hope that, I just hope that YouTube gets better. I mean, I know that I gave my general answers, but it's not that simple. Like I said, there's so many people on here that it's so hard to make sure that everything is absolutely hunky-dory. But at least we could try to make it a better place. Not just for old creators, but also for new creators. People that want to show their stuff. People who are creative and up and coming, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic, I'm not really sure. However, that's just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. Thanks so much for bringing me on, Liam, and I hope all of you have a great day.
Thank you all so much for watching part 1 of this amazing series. And of course a big thank you to each and every YouTuber featured in this video. I couldn't have done this without you all. So please check out their channels: TapChap, Just Stop, Undead Me Out, Power Online, Artisticookie, MD Who Entertainment, Gothic Rose, Jetstar64, Lion-O Convoy Reviews, Faeles, ZaNamations, Ming the Dead DM, Wolficide, Julie of the Arts, Awkwarmental, Histen, Deka Gecko, ZaNamation, Pehk from Pehk and Call, Andrew IG,